But now we are only 95 days until Election Day, 46 days until early voting begins. A shocking new development from Kamala Harris. Now, for the very first time since her coronation, the Democratic hopeful spoke off script. It was just one sentence about the hostage release, but even that didn't go particularly well. It was another one of those word salads that didn't quite make any sense, and Joe Biden was looking on, as per usual, totally dazed and confused. And for the first time in a while, I really can't blame him. Take a look.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. It's an incredible day.
At least Joe has an excuse. What in the world was she trying to say? This is not rocket science. She was there to congratulate the American hostages on a safe return home. Clearly, this is why Kamala rarely ever speaks off script or takes questions without a teleprompter, but it's not the only reason. As Kamala likes to say, she just didn't fall out of a coconut tree. She has a long and public track record of very radical, extreme, and frankly dangerous positions on just about everything, from immigration, law and order, the economy, energy independence, foreign policy. Now, these are bread and butter issues that impact every one of you. But now Kamala, with the help of the state-run media mob, is trying to obscure this record. She's now hiding behind her own staffers. And just like Joe was hiding in his basement in 2020, and the media is helping her instead of him, now the campaign spoke to numerous outlets to inform them that Kamala Harris has experienced in the last week a miraculous election year conversion and doesn't actually support many of her once strongly, very held strong beliefs. The conversation on major issues only occurred after she became the presumptive nominee, now nominee. Unfortunately for Kamala, well, her positions are well documented in her own words, and they're afraid of her own words. Every day, we unearth new videos of your vice president, your Democratic presidential candidate, spewing extreme, dangerous, and pretty radical rhetoric. And I'll tell you right now, your rhetoric is insane. Now, there are various videos the media, frankly, they don't want you to see. They're never going to play them. They'll not ask her. They're okay with not interviewing her. They're okay with no press conferences. But we're going to play them every single night. We have the Kamala files, as we call them, on Hannity.com. You can download them yourself, give them to your friends and family and coworkers and strangers. Anyway, for example, here's Kamala Harris berating Americans for saying Merry Christmas. Why? Because illegal immigrants, they're not having a Merry Christmas. So don't you dare say Merry Christmas.
And only when they cleared that vet did we give them DACA status. And now we're talking about taking it away. It is morally wrong. And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas, these children are not going to have a Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we? They will not have a Merry Christmas. They don't know if they will be here in a matter of days, weeks, and months.
Radical, extreme, bizarre, weird even. Don't you dare say Merry Christmas. Short time later, Kamala would be appointed as border czar. And can you believe it? Our border, along with the entire immigration system, is now nothing but an unmitigated disaster and a huge national security threat, a clear and present danger to every American. But that didn't stop her campaign from releasing a somewhat laughable ad touting her record on the border, except they don't tell the truth. Here's my message to the Harris campaign. Pay attention. Politicians lie, numbers don't lie. And here are the numbers. Since becoming the border czar, and she's the border czar, Kamala allowed more unvetted illegal immigrants into our country than ever before in the history of the United States. In fact, under Harris, there has been more illegal immigration than anywhere in the history of the world. You know, almost 11 million unvetted illegals from 180 countries, with many with terror ties, many countries that are enemies of our country. And she wants a promotion? She has blood on her hands. Many Americans raped, murdered by Joe and Kamala's unvetted illegal immigrants under their watch. Tens of thousands dead from fentanyl pouring across our border. Mexican cartels emboldened like never before. Make no mistake, what is happening at the border is not some big random coincidence out of Kamala's control. They bragged about undoing the Trump policies. For years, she has vilified ICE and border security officials. She promised mass amnesty to illegal immigrants. She called for illegal immigration to be decriminalized and then proposed giving free health care to illegal immigrants, free education to illegal immigrants. She helped California become a sanctuary state. She bragged all about it on tape. As a matter of fact, now a message from the Democratic nominee for president, Kamala Harris, on borders and immigration.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
You support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Would you call the border secure?
I think that there is no question that we have to do what the president and I asked Congress to do. Is the first request we made: pass a bill to create a pathway to citizenship. The border is secure. We have to have a secure border, but I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct. That is correct.
These are all videos that the state-run media mob ought to be playing and asking her questions about. But again, they're not going to do it because they know Kamala will get crushed if she is forced to confront her own words, her own statements, her own agenda. Now, keep in mind, it is not just the border. Now a message from Kamala Harris about America's Green New Socialist economy. Take a look.
So again, back to the United States Congress, here's my point. If they fail to act as President of the United States, I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal.
She'll even get rid of the filibuster for the Green New Deal that she co-sponsored in the Senate. And now a message from Kamala about all the new taxes she wants to impose on you and your family. Take a look.
So these are some of the ways, but we've got to increase the corporate tax rate. We also have to increase taxes for the top 1%. And that part of that is going to be about repealing that tax bill that they just passed. And also looking at estate taxes are going to have to go up for the richest Americans.
Even said that, well, if they go up to 70 or 80%, she applauded AOC's commitment towards that. Said it was fantastic. Over the last 4 years, these words have been backed up by her actions. Taxes and spending have sharply increased under the Biden-Harris regime. And now your economy is a nightmare. Inflation is through the roof and going higher. Many are worried about a looming recession. And today, stocks plummeted yet again after a terrible jobs report on top of bad economic news yesterday. Now the unemployment rate is officially again on the rise. Kamala owns that record, just like she owns the high cost or the cost of democracy, as she calls it, the high cost of energy, after calling for a ban on fracking and offshore drilling and oil exploration on public lands. Another message from Kamala Harris, this time on energy policy.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah.
She owns skyrocketing energy costs, just like she owns the Afghanistan debacle that she admittedly played a big role in planning and the increased terror threat right here at home. And now another message for Kamala Harris on radical Islamic terrorism. Take a listen.
You must have the courage to object when they use that term, radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror.
And we've got to have the courage to reject the term illegal alien. She also, owns the breakdown of law and order across the country after supporting the violent riots in the summer of 2020, promoting that bail fund after they burned down the Minneapolis police precinct 4 days earlier, calling for police departments to lose funding, and once again, a message from Kamala on law and order. Watch.
This is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that they're not going to let up, and they should not.
And she praised defunding the police and reimagining the police. Kamala's radical positions aren't the only concern. According to her own staff, apparently she's a terrible leader and a mean one. According to one report, quote, bully Kamala Harris berated staff, left them in tears after berating them with F-bombs. One intern was told to never make eye contact with her. These claims are backed up by the numbers. As vice president, the staff turnaround and turnover rate was over 90%. But none of this matters to Kamala Harris. Like Joe Biden, the presidency is a personal vanity project for Harris. She's going to say and do whatever she needs to say or do to get elected and get power. For her, this isn't about making the country a better place. This is about her own political, personal ambition. This kind of toxic thinking is clearly carried over to some of her biggest backers, including those activists who met with Vice President Harris dozens of times. Take a look.
We have to get out. They got their people. They got all the trailer parks all covered. All of the people up in West Virginia in the hills, they covered. They got them all the way there to Wall Street. He did that, and we sitting there talking about the white women. Forget the white women. They're gonna do what they white men tell them to do.
So does Kamala support that kind of rhetoric? Will anyone in the state-run media mob ask her about these comments? Will she ever sit for an interview, ever do a press conference? Will they ask her if she supports the anti-Semitic rhetoric coming from the base of her own party? At this point, the Democratic Party has become so extreme that it's risky, according to all these reports out all week, to pick a Jewish running mate. In fact, if she does pick Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, it appears that he's the leading candidate. The inter-party pushback, it'll be an internal civil war. Democratic civil war might break out. Even now, the left is planting hit pieces all over the place on Shapiro in the press, including an alleged sexual harassment cover-up inside his own office that they use taxpayer money to pay off. Even Michigan's Democratic darling, Michael Moore, is warning that if she picks Shapiro, it may sink the Democratic Party ticket. They may even lose the state of Michigan. Make no mistake, all is not well in the land of the Democratic Party, in spite of the glowing treatment from the state-run media mob. There will be an ebb and flow to this election, I promise you. There's already been a shakeup at the Harris campaign. Several new advisors, including Obama veteran David Plouffe, as we love to call him. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.